gonna go play with Wicket. They're being cute. It's a breast. Wow. Yep, it's a breast. It's a best of 3. And it is going to be a TVP. In the bottom right, playing Protoss, he is Clem. And in the top left, playing Terran, it is Byun. No TVTs for you. Clem did play versus Spirit earlier, and I guess played Protoss. I didn't think about it. I think I actually opened the series, then didn't think about looking for the races. But he won that, so, you know, however that went is a good sign. If he did play Protoss, that his Protoss is actually still pretty good. It has already mostly proven itself, really, I think. Most people agree that it is... I don't want to put this. Yeah. Okay. That his Protoss is up to snuff, that he is capable of taking on any of the pro gamers that he used to face as a Terran. I would always hold reservations until an offline tournament, since we're not really getting any offline tournaments. Then I don't really know what to say, but it does seem like Clem is very comfortable playing Protoss, and usually facing your original race is pretty good for you. But I think that there's like, yeah, facing Terran, you kind of know what bothers Terran more, you know, the habits of the Terran more. I will say, whenever you off race, even if your off race is really, 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 really good, and it is for Clem, there is almost always things that show it is an off race. It sounds counterintuitive. He plays Protoss at like 6,000 MMR. He's got to be freaking good. But, you know, at Home Story Cup, we just saw so many Colossus die. There's like one instance where it's just like, there's no way a main Protoss would have ever done that. Seriously. And the other thing is, like, when it comes to your off race, typically your versus cheese isn't as good. I think just in general, not having as many reps impacts you the hardest in the early game when you don't know what's happening. I think that makes sense. So even though Clem has probably thousands of reps as Protoss at this point, this guy plays a lot of StarCraft, he might still be a little vulnerable to something like a proxy barracks. One which, again, he has yet to actually scout. So he thinks it's going to 1cc, expands, and he's going to find out, okay, it's not expansion, oh shit! What else is it? And then the Marauder's going to show up, and he's going to go, oh, bother. Or, zoot zoot. He doesn't do any extreme cursing. But this is pretty bad. To be fair, I talked about why Clem would be a little weaker against this. I think a lot of Protoss have trouble against an unscouted 2 barracks, 1 proxy, so... There is that. Oh, the bunker is denied, however, and that is first things first. You gotta deny that bunker from actually finishing. Backup pylon has been made, although I'm not sure how long that will actually stay up and running. It does at least make sure that there's no supply block where I think the Oracle might have been. No, it wouldn't have actually, but still, like, it's better to have it, and he does already go to replacing it. Because he will be supply blocked soon if he's not careful. The Oracle comes out to help. Obviously, Marauders cannot shoot up, despite my plea a decade ago. But the Oracle also does not have infinite energy. It kind of does, though, now, I guess, with energy recharge. So that makes it a better response to the Marauder proxy than it used to be, for sure. So the shield battery overcharge does not exist. That would not have helped in this game. There's no way to get the shield battery up and running. But an Oracle, that is actually very good. The amount of Marines here are not high enough to actually kill an Oracle, technically. If it's full health, you need 4 Marines to kill it. And Byun has got to respect the Oracle. Good on Clem to go for a Stargate, by the way. That is a huge difference maker in this game. I'm not sure that Clem holds, certainly this way, maybe with more damage. If he had gone for a Twilight Council, Twilight Council just doesn't help you. It just literally can't produce anything. It could be eventually give you Blink, I suppose, if you had started it before the attack, right? But are you alive to even use that Blink? Whereas the Oracle, even if it was the old Oracle that would have run out of energy without the energy recharge, so old Nexus, shall we say, it's better than nothing. So that is one thing that was kind of probably not what Byun was hoping for, right? As far as the harder counters to Clem's opener, he was hoping there was a Twilight Council. And now it's 2 Oracles that do need a response, as again, The amount of Marines wasn't really convincing. He had one barracks with a reactor, that's okay, but the other barracks had to fly home. Third barracks wasn't done. And if you're gonna continue building oracles, which, you know, I don't see Clem as a guy who goes for oracles, but your hero probably would. And that's probably what Byun is even remembering as he slaps down these 2 missile turrets. He's like, oh my god, what if the oracles kill me? I had this happen versus hero. That fucking sucked. And so he plays it safe. And technically now he has enough Marines to divvy up between the 2 bases, but the missile turret's kind of necessary, but unfortunately necessary. In the top tier world of professional StarCraft 2, actually affording 200 minerals that quickly after you've already denied your expansion for X amount of time, it's actually quite a pretty penny. It's a less than ideal situation for Byun. He caused some havoc at the front of the base. He did kill some probes, 8 of them actually in total. That's probably just enough to kind of give us a normal game, I guess. I don't have a cutoff in my head for what a proxy barracks has to do damage-wise, but I think that's kind of close to evening things out. And now we just pay attention to the rest of the game. I think it's the easiest way to determine this is if whether or not Byun is down by 8 workers. Now that he has 2 mules, we know that's the numbers we're looking at between the 2 races. And he's just about... So, yeah. Yeah. Could have been worse for Byun, could have been way better for Byun. As it is, where it's like a normal TVP, kind of. We got Clem going into a little abnormal TVP, just because it's not the most common thing in the world, but I do like seeing it again. We got ourselves fast charge into +1 armor, into the Templar Archives. We're going to actually get the Storm. It's always existed, never gone completely out of the way, it's just less than a bunch of the other things that Protoss do. And Byun does not actually know about this intention. Byun has gotten no scouting since that's proxy racks. Oh, Zoot, no way she knows that. I took French in high school. Thank you very much. And the one curse word that was allowed to be taught to us was zoot, zoot, zoot. We weren't allowed to learn the much worse curse words in French, but I did eventually learn them because I hung out with the O Gaming crew. Both oracles die. That is very unlucky for Clem. They would have been extremely useful. Stasis traps are still extremely useful. Revelations, knowing where the army is going, still extremely useful. That's very unfortunate. And we got a drop in the main base that I didn't see, and neither did Clem, which is way more unfortunate for our Frenchie. Oh no, that's one hell of an Artosis pylon. That is the biggest one I've seen in a while. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 buildings. 6 of which were being used. That is a crazy Artosis pylon. The upgrade should still be on the way. Blink should still actually be finishing, and gateways do need to be active at this point, as Byun does have 2 armies. So it's. I think we're at a point where Clem has enough army that he's okay defensively, but that would have been the one. That would have been the 30 seconds I would have been concerned for sure, for sure. And we still have a 20 supply difference, so it's still a little concerning. But at least now all the gateways are up and running. Armor is done for Clem, but attack is done for Byun. And Clem cannot get the connections he's looking for with those Archons. The Zealots actually need to be just a bit higher in number. Marauders on the front line taking a lot of those shots. Not killing the Zealots particularly fast, but slowing them down. They do have Marauders slow. All the upgrades done for Byun. He is only on 2 bases, and he is going to pull the boys. That's why he's got so much shit. And he's about to have way more, and he's going to try and take advantage of the lack of Storm. I said he was going Storm. I was completely wrong about that, and that is a really important difference. A Storm build, well, it could have already died, to be fair. To be fair, Storm doesn't give you a lot of units. But what it does give you is a lot of splash. And SCV pulls are going to do nothing but try to kill you. And if you had a Storm, you would hit literally everything. When you don't have Storm, you get a couple of crappy Archons. I will say those SCVs just melted. I almost doubt they existed, but the rest of the Protoss army might not be up to snuff against the Terran. Right now, half the army supply for Clem. I think this is going to work out. Beyond 2 basing it, SCV pool might not have even been necessary to win this game, but does make it a lot easier. All the Zealots are gone. The Archons with the T-Rex arms aren't going to get any particularly good shots. Even the upgrade's going to be still the same. Clem was desperately hoping +1 was going to save him. It will not. And that is going to be game. GG. Byun does take game 1. Really can't blame the proxy racks for that, though, right? It was definitely an opener that was a little more ambiguous in its efficiency, I guess, its efficacy. But I would say generally, well, it really is difficult to say, because while that 8-worker difference is typically the place you can ground yourself and be like, well, this is what you're supposed to look like in the macro game, it's obviously very different because the offsetting of the economy can really impact certain things differently, right? I mean, typically I would say that when you go for a mostly gateway-based army, which is exactly what Clem was doing, Archons come from the gateways, you really want that supercharged economy. You want to have those 3 bases saturated ASAP, and then you're going to just start spitting out zealots. Whereas if you do take economic damage and you don't get as fast of a 3rd Nexus, Colossus can be a little bit safer. They're slower, but they're safer. But then I think the SCV pool is always a good idea against what Clem was doing. Regardless of the economic situations and how they got to the points that they did, I do think that an SCV pool is almost always good. But it looks like Clem was having trouble before the SCV pool. And either that is because of the opening and the loss of the probes and the disruption to his build, or it is because it isn't actually his main race, and he did lose those gateways to the pylon snipe. And, you know, 4 additional zealots at the very first fight could actually make a difference. It's kind of like nipping it in the bud, then you get like a better surround the next time. And then Clem also did lose 2 oracles that might have been able to scout that, hey, this guy's still on 2 bases, I should really play defensive, because I think we saw very few shield batteries in preparation for the attack. So it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things. But at the end of the day, Byun does win. And so we go into game 2 on kill switch. This is new for me. On the right side it is Clem. On the left side it is Byun. I demand a return of my cat coins. I thought Clem was going to play Terran. No take backsies. No refunds.
Thank you for becoming a
There's still a chance that I'll win, though. I mean, he's won against Byun as Protoss before. I am pretty sure I've heard that. Pretty sure about that. JTN! Hey, thank you very much for that gifted sub. Thanks for supporting the channel. Oh, boy. Fun game, fun game. Just, it's a fun game to think about, yeah. But I think for me, I'm going to go with the main rub about that game was just the SCV pool. And then maybe a little bit Clem not being comfortable, like, as comfortable. It really is insane to try and explain why someone who is actually beating professional gamers as a separate race might not actually be as good as the usual race. We're talking about, like, that 0.1 difference that's still very important as you get up higher and higher and higher. And I think the most difficult place you could be in as your second race is up against Cheese and up against Relentless Aggression. And that is, you know, Byun's definitely the type to do that. That wasn't a proxy barracks, that was an engineering bay block, just to be clear to what you saw on your screen. Now, I have no idea how this map plays out. So, speaking of other things that might hamper you a little more on your second race than your first, new maps. Seriously, the obvious thing would be, like, can you wall? Although walling's not as important in this matchup, but, like, can you wall? Okay, do you mess that up? Well, here messes that up all the time, so I guess it's okay. And the second thing is like, okay, if you do get engineering bay blocks, which base do you take? Clem made a very fast decision that looked very confident, and I'm going to assume that he knew what he was doing, but is this the base that he should have taken? I don't know. This base also looks like it could have been taken, I guess. I don't know. And I don't know, I feel like this wasn't in last map's map pool. So this should be really brand new. Well, regardless of a better or worse third base to take as your natural, there is also just the idea that you were engineered by blocked, forced to take a really weird base, and that the Terran player can follow up with a lot of aggression. Not as much as it used to be with the Cyclone change, of course, but still, they could be going into even Hellions. This actually is not Byun's plan. I would not have minded that plan at all, but I do think it's a little bit on the nose. Typically, Protoss are most scared and thus prepared for the Hellion follow-up. But in this case, we had a non-issue on both sides. Clem didn't overreact to the potential, like changes his build order and his entire plan, and Byun, well, just didn't go for Hellions. He did still go for a drop, I thought? Oh, wait. Oh, he is going for a drop. Make that present tense. Medevac not quite out yet, so Widowmine is going to be picked up and go for, well, let's be real, basically a scout. There's not much potential in this single Widowmine. There shouldn't be. I'm waiting. I'm hoping there isn't. I haven't even looked at the other weirdness about the map. We'll do that in a second. Oh my god, this is actually going to be effective. No. Okay, good. Well, that was a very late pull from Clem. Does manage to micro one probe away from the others. I mean, it would have gotten, I think, max 5, but yeah. That still would have been very bad for a single Widowmine drop. 1 is excusable, but going on to the map qualities, we got ourselves the setup of the bases. Natural would have had this protective mineral base that you can mine out to, I guess, get to this base, and this base. And then you have a choke here and no choke up here. Okay, interesting. Just saying how you would manage to attack in right now. So it kind of seems like on Clem's perspective, I guess we scan for an observer here, that if you protect this base, you can kind of protect this base and this base to an extent as well. Whereas if you took this base, then you kind of are protecting this base from this angle, and then potentially a fourth from that angle, I guess. It's a bit screwy. And then you have this junk going on the backs of the base, which is a ton of minerals. Good lord. Each requiring more than 1 mineral return, which is kind of annoying. And slow zones. And then a base you could take there, I guess, technically as well. Huh. A very interesting map design. Another observer. Is he actually killing observers, though? Yes, he is. Okay. I'm just always a second too late to see if he actually killed something. No! Okay, I saw that one. 3 observers have been killed. Clem, stop running them into the base. Just leave them right here. Map is actually killed. Kills switch. Kills witch. Not kill switch, kills witch. The gold patches are a metaphor for the injustice of medieval Europe. That's excellent analysis, thank you. Widowmine drop in the natural is seen lickety split. Clem did go for a very, very typical build here. Link charge into Colossus. We got Byun going for a 2 base so far. He might pull the SCVs again, considering that it is still going to be that gateway priority. And SCV pulls are also still fine against Colossus. It's really Storm that they're just terrible against. Clem ready to tango. He's got a lot of zealots prepared. He really didn't macro up all that hard. He didn't macro up that as in get him a lot of bases, nor did he get a lot of technology. So he's supposed to have a pretty good fight right there. I wouldn't actually say that it was good enough, though. Lost a lot of zealots in the process. 6 probes also going down. Losing that position means that his probes are going to be harassed from the low ground. And Byun stays in position. He is going to take his 3rd behind this, seen by the observer, so that's good information for Clem, but it's definitely not game over yet, but just the fact that that didn't actually quite push this away is a little concerning. The Zealots didn't push it away, kill the tank, and then Byun comes racing back all the way from his own 3rd to Clem's, because that would have given him so much room to breathe. This is far less. But a Colossus is on the way out. More Zealots have been built. A Guardian Shield will be available this time. And I think this is a push that Byun will have to respect, especially as his tank unsieges at possibly the worst time. Widow Mines will pop off. Good little split at the last second there from Clem. Colossus going to help out against the Marines that are left over. But yet again, the Zealots just aren't... They're not good enough. They are getting taken down too fast. So Widow Mines pop off on them. Not in a bunch, but still helping. And then the Marines weren't actually as in danger as they're supposed to be up against Colossus. So they were able to free fire on the Zealots. And that tank is still anchoring this push. This is one of those situations where you don't push it back once, okay, you still have another chance. You don't push the Terran player back twice, then I think that's when you're really starting to sweat. Especially if you don't have very much else going for you. Now, Clem does have the Colossus technology, and that's a great addition. He still is only on 3 bases, 3 gas. So... Oh, wait, what? Wait a minute. I totally missed a cancel on the command center. Sorry, guys. So that was canceled. I mean, that's some good news, at least. Byun would have had quite the lead in the economy if he had gotten that down, and they'd be currently mule dropping it. And that would boost Byun up quite a bit. Dropping the main base, though, once again, finding quite the Artosis pylon. That's another 4 buildings, 5 buildings even. All of them in use. Delayed by a pylon's production. We do have the opportunity given for Clem to try and break through on the front lines, however, thanks to Byun divvying up his army so much, so does lose the tank anchoring that position. And should be a little scared of a counterattack. He did not see the observer. 4th time is the charm, apparently. Okay, finally does find out. Because that observer can give the green light to Clem to try and pressure at this point. Like, if the 3rd was down on location this entire time, and Clem did get that opportunity to push back the army, maybe he would have tried going for a little bit of a counterattack. Without it being down, I mean, there wasn't really a reason to. Now it's down, now it's a pivotal point of defense, and Clem now also has his entire army all together, getting all of its upgrades as well. +2 finishing, Sand Thermal Lance finishing, 3 Colossus, kind of the magic number. War Prism on the way. And this is where Byun starts to struggle a little bit, perhaps. He's got 1 Ghost on his side, 3 Vikings, not enough, but a very, very big bio army. 1-1 did +2 as well, so upgrades basically even. I really want to just continue emphasizing how much Clem could be committing here. 4 Ghosts now, 2 EMPs already blanking the Protoss army. Nice concave potential if Clem does not pull back through this choke, which he does. But unfortunately, still not able to withstand the might of the Terran army. He had to pull all the way back, giving Byun a nice concave, back his 3rd CC, although 19 SCVs were lost, and replacing that's not going to happen particularly quickly. No upgrades on the way for Byun. He's not really waiting for anything except more Vikings and a better concave. Clem thinks he's got an opportunity, and I'm with him to an extent. The problem is that once those Zealots are gone, the rest of the Protoss army does tend to just fall quickly. And if it does, Clem doesn't have a lot going on for him in the background. He is in a bully position at this point. He's doing great, but there's always that chance that the Terran takes one hell of a fight. And that's basically what Clem has to make sure does not happen. It's something that Max Pack's got really good at. The pressure onto the Terran's 3rd that even takes advantage of the continuous stims, the weakened army. As the battle goes on, there is a downside to what the Terran's doing, right? Their upside is a fan's advantage, but the downside is all these stims. And, well, now we got a War Prism in the main. Vikings too late to stop that from happening. Now forced to be pulled into the fight. That's already a half-injured Terran force, but no Zealots available. Means that it's a very flimsy Protoss army. Some Zealots helping out here, and the bio is so stimmed. Even a couple of Colossus beams managed to take down a good portion of the army. This is all at sacrifice of Byun's main base, by the way, guys. He's not mining off his 3rd. He's not mining in his main. And I think Clem has done it. He's a bit bare bones himself. Did make a couple of more probes to put him above 60 again. But it was the right thing to do. The aggression works out. The War Prism in the main is the real killer, though. That just made sure that Byun was on all in. And Byun did not take the slam dunk engagement that I was describing. I'm talking one of those engagements where the entire Protoss army tries to recall, but it's already dead, basically. Then they're trying to warp in Zealots, emergency zealots. That's not quite what happened there, although Byun is looking for it yet again, but his army's just so injured. The medevacs are out of healing. Clem just needs to hold on here, and 2 Colossus will help do that. As more zealots get warped in, Byun will be forced to tap out. Clem will hold, and we will go to a game 3. It's all tied up here on ley lines. In the top right as Protoss, he is Clem, and in the bottom left it is Byun. Clem showing some good decision making in that last game. He did go for what a lot of Protoss are doing now, which is the Gateway Colossus, low gas, able to make a good amount of zealots. A very good amount of zealots. But it can be tricky. The initial defenses with the zealots can be quite harrowing as they disappear before your eyes against the Marines, and then you don't know if you're going to have enough to replace them. And then the actual attacking portion can still be really scary because you are committing with quite a lot of basic units. They do get EMP'd. They do magnet themselves to a Widow Mine. They all die. They are the beefiest thing you have in your Protoss army, so that when it is only Stalkers and Colossus, you can be amazed at how quickly they fall. But it's a style that's been really working out well for Protoss for a while at this point. While they don't have that typical, I guess, true death ball, I guess you could say, they don't have 7 bases and 14 gases. That took me far too long. They still have that time to really bully the Terran. And for Byun, I think 2 things really sucked for him. The biggest thing that sucked was definitely the Warp Prism. The fact that he wasn't able to stop that from happening with his Vikings really quite near his main base, right? Really painful. Because if it was just all of the army coming through that one choke, there's a lot more back and forth I think that has to happen before someone really gets crowned the winner. Whereas that Warp Prism in the main was just a well-placed dagger in the kidney or something. Anyway, and another thing was the 3rd CC being canceled that I missed. I don't know what it was. A couple of Stalkers, a single Zealot, I don't know. But the 3rd CC being canceled, first of all, kind of deserved. Byun was hoping that his aggression on the front lines would cover his 3rd, and to an extent it kind of did as far as the pathway of reinforcements. But something clearly got in there and canceled it. So, it's, you know, kind of getting appropriately smacked for being a little greedy, but still, that greed was supposed to pay off. He was supposed to get his 3rd CC on location, turn it into an orbital, and instantly start muling it. And I don't think I can overemphasize how much cleaner that would have made his macro. These are things that are hard to describe, but if you ever play Terran and you get an on-location CC versus an off-location CC, you'll know the difference, even if you're not particularly good at StarCraft. But then just, like, you know, triple it in forms of pro gaming. It can be a huge difference maker. At the very least, the difference is the economy. 100%, no arguing against that. But the second thing that's really bothersome about it is just the attention that it takes away. Having to actually rebuild it, first of all, but then make it to the orbital, and then move it over, and then rally your SCVs to the minerals, and then make sure you don't accidentally rally the 3rd CC as it's lifted so it doesn't actually land. The more I'm talking about it, the more I'm convinced it's my own pet peeve. But still, it's important. And I think if that didn't happen, if it was just up all the entire time, I think there's a good chance that Byun has what's necessary to actually defend against Clem's aggression. Perhaps even Clem would actually second guess being so aggressive, and then would rely more on that Warp Prism. Oh, nice. That Warp Prism to try and at least scare Byun and force him to move armies out of position. But anyway, we do have a game in process. 4 minutes in, we do have another engineering play block that was not really backed up by anything particularly aggressive. It's a double Widow Mine drop this time, and 2 Widow Mines well placed. Did find 2 Adepts. Doesn't happen that often. That was nice for Byun. Clem is going into a Twilight Council for Blink, and Robo as well. Very similar to last game. Hopefully without so many observer kills. He did have to make 5 observers, I think, by the end of the game. Woodermine drop is already heavily injured. These stalkers are on the chase, which means that they are not back at home. But Woodermine's, you know, you just pull the probes away, right? So not having the army at home is not the worst thing in the world against this particular drop, although mismicroing your probes would be the worst thing. And so the stalkers, they come back, they deal with it. The medevac's half injured and now stuck in a corner. Overall, I think good handling from Clem, who, most importantly, is getting his third nexus and continuing to build probes. Byun going very much into a familiar follow-up. He's going into some tanks to help him protect himself. Blink is done, charge ASAP, and then Colossus eventually. Woodermine does manage to burrow, and the medevac does escape, barely alive. And I think it also got a little bit of a scout, sees that Twilight Council still researching after 5 minutes. That's either a very late blink or, you know, a queued up charge. It's probably a queued up charge. Auto turret comes in as soon as Clem thinks the main base is safe. Although no probes were killed. Nice pull from Clem. This Raven does not look like it's going to be getting interference matrix. In fact, when is the last time I saw an interference matrix? No, I think I did actually see it last week. So not that bad. I think I did see it last week. But it seems to have really fallen out of fashion. I mean, far and away different from what it was 2-3 years ago or whatever, before they changed the interference matrix to an upgrade. And then it was as natural as breathing to get even 2 or even 3 Ravens. Remember, that was becoming the meta. But anyway, not going to get it this time. Raven will be for almost purely harassment reasons. An anti-armor missile can't be understated. It can very much influence the exact same battle that I think we're going to get in this game as last. The one where Byun is on the defensive, holding up against the relentless charge lots of the very low gas Protoss. Then an anti-armor missile is brilliant. That's considering the Raven is even a part of the fight and doesn't die beforehand. Clem has gotten his macro up pretty much without disruption. He is going once again. Oh no, 4 gases actually. Almost certain he was on 3 gases for a lot longer last time. Turret harassment will still be annoying, but only 2 probes go down. A little bit of a scout, I guess, as well. Yeah, I saw this side of the robotics bay. That was a blind scan. That is, or maybe it wasn't actually. I keep missing when the observers die. And then the timing of the reinforcing observer is just perfect for me to think that the observer didn't die and that was the one that was supposed to be scanned, but actually it's just another observer that's dead. That is once again 3 observers dead in this game. That's so funny, actually, that would be one of those things that I actually think a main Terran would be better at, is keeping their observers alive. I mean, 1 observer dying, like the one that was here, I think that's just natural, but the fact that 3 observers have died, that's pretty funny. Alright, so double drop is found out and is killed. It sacrifices 2, I believe 3 stalkers actually for it, but to take out the entire power of the drop, I think is worth it. Auto turret harassment in the natural also appropriately handled, and no tertiary attack, so I think actually, by the looks of things, Clem will be the one on the map first with his main army. No! I swear to God, like, I don't know. I feel like when I play Protoss, and I consider myself a main Terran, even though I play a lot of Protoss, I feel like I really am like, oh no, I can't siege it on top of the Terran, because the Terran will obviously hear it and notice it. I'm like trying to be the cleverest little Protoss, putting my observers, you know, above the trees, for instance, or just slightly more away from the army, I guess, and not literally on top of it. Clem does not give a shit. And now the fellow Raven's here. No! Clem's not going to get any free vision. The rest of the map is pretty good as far as the vision. Got pylons. Got zealots ready for a run by. But this is a less complicated game. Not that last game was particularly complicated, but there was really almost no regression beforehand. Byun's double drop was supposed to maybe open something up but then it got slapped down so quickly, so hard. Byun, if he was going to move out with his main army, just was like, never mind. Don't even bother with it. So we have Clem able to macro almost perfectly. He has lost in total 8 probes. That is over almost all 10 minutes of the game, so not as devastating as all at once. And Byun has not tried to over-aggress here, just because that's how he usually plays, right? I think he's accepted that he's taken some losses, that it's not been an ideal situation, and he is waiting to defend against Clem's push in the best way possible. Already letting the Warp Prism in the main. Okay, no Warp in. That's actually really important right there. Still a bit of a distraction, but Byun is well prepared on the front lines. Good wall to that north side. Predicts the run-by from that angle. Has Tank still alive. Getting shots from the very beginning of the fight. And just so much army was available with fully energized medevacs as well, because there wasn't so much of the back and forth as there was in the last game. So the army was healthy, and the medevacs immediately healed up the stim. 16 SCVs did go down, though, so I guess, well, the Warp Prism died, but then I don't know how the Zealots still got in and killed so many SCVs, but they did. So that's a bit of a bummer, because otherwise it looked like a really good defense. 16 SCVs, a little more than I was expecting. 8 maybe by some leftover Zealots he didn't quite track down, but 16, ouch kadibbles. Nonetheless, Byun is on the offensive. He did take a very convincing defensive fight, and now he's going to try and get these Zealots to run into his army away from the Colossus, melt the Zealots, deal with the rest of the army later. Tank will finally get taken down, but it did a great job literally tanking the Colossus damage. And the ideal situation for the Terran is to pull the Zealots away from the main army, kill them, and then collapse on the rest. All the while the Colossus are just desperately trying to catch up, and that's kind of what happened there to an extent. Now we are over-stimmed, however. We need some time for those medevacs to actually heal us up. Anti-armor missile would be great. There we go. He gets a hit. Clem still has a 20 supply lead. He has built up his economy as well. Last game I kept pointing out his economy, not because it's atypical of what he was doing, but because it was worth noting. It was sub 60 probes up until some of the last minutes of that game. So there was low technology. It was very emphasized on the Zealots, but it also just didn't have that much economy. Now we're on 5 bases, 77 probes. There's going to be a lot of wiggle room here for Clem as he gets back into a bullying position. He's going to take advantage of this wall, and by that I mean actually kill it. We got an engineer bay and an armory researching. Snipes on those would be good. I think it's going to happen. +2 attack not going to be in the cards for Byun. That is very unfortunate and just a straight up mistake, honestly. One that he won't make in the future, but it looks like +2 or no. That is just too much Protoss. And Byun is going to lose out here. Clem, 2-1, advances on to the winners finals.